we? Yeah, I do believe we're live. So I'll say indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. I will now proceed to put my arms underneath the scarf because the wind that is passing over me is chilly. And it is slowly but surely freezing me body. I also have a little blanket underneath. I am blue today. Not in the emotional sense, but very much in the clothing sense. I wonder if you cast judgment depending on what colors I wear. What kind of perception do you project? And if you project those perceptions, do they enable me to judge myself? That is today's stream topic, give or take. I want to talk about specifically that energy of cleaning the house before guests arrive. Hey, Joe. Seeing those hearts. I love you. Cleaning the house before guests arrive. Right? There's a certain type of energy that is attached to that want to do something nice, right? To make the space nice for people that arrive. My brother, hey Joe, I love you. My brother and his girlfriend and her parents. I think that's all. I think there was going to be more, but there ended up not being. It's just them. Is here. They arrived while I was doing yoga. I feel a little bit rude for not participating in conversation right now. However, I don't care. I shouldn't say that. I do care. I care a lot. I just will not cast judgment. My perception will not cast judgment onto that perception of myself. That is me, that is here right now. Right? The way I perceive myself being perceived is not worthy of judging. Noise. Did you get to keep your room? I did. I did get to keep my room. Lucky me. I even gave my room up in anticipation for the people that was gonna come. And then those people didn't end up showing up. The sister of my brother's girlfriend and her husband was gonna be here too, potentially. And now it's just me in my own room at the very least. How lucky. I cleaned, well, at least like scraped off the teeth of my grinder today. So the stuff I have in here is basically caked on essentially. Wasima Patterson. Welcome. Welcome, Wasima Patterson. It's nice to have ye. Thank you for joining. It is always a pleasure sharing some space, to have your perception being perceived onto me. Pretty sure that's not how grammar works, but I appreciate it nonetheless. You're perceiving. Do you realize that you perceiving has power, especially so when perceiving another? Especially so when you are going to go and perceive a space, the people that live in that space might participate in the cleaning of it because you're going to see. I find that so interesting. What? Yeah, exactly, Wasima. Exactly. What is the right question to be asking? What I'm saying is as soon as you look at something and there's someone that looks at that something with you, you looking at that something makes that something you see something else to be seen by the other person. And you're like, I'm still confused, Melt. Please give me a bone. Let's talk about something that's wrong. For example, maybe there's a crack in the wall. All right. And we didn't really do too much wall crack filling, admittedly. But let's say there's a crack in the wall. And then you know a friend of yours is going to come and visit you. And then suddenly, what was a crack in the wall now is a problem, right? It's an issue for you to solve. And then who knows? Maybe your friend comes over and they walk into your space. And then maybe both of you find yourself posed in front of said crack in the wall. And then suddenly, hey, N dot, it's nice having you here, friend. Then suddenly, With that person standing next to you looking at that same crack, maybe you feel cringe. Maybe you feel bad. Maybe you feel inadequate. Maybe you feel like it reflects poorly on your ego. And I think that's the real crux. That's what we're actually talking about today. It's the fact that we get our egos involved in the perception of the things that we have around ourselves, right? And that goes as far as the way we dress, right? The jewelry we wear, the things we do with our time or with our bodies, the things we do with our minds, the things we like. I feel like it's a big thing, right? Like what I like might not be what someone else's likes. And maybe what someone else's likes is not something that I like particularly as well. I feel like where the real problem arises is with the casting of judgment. That's why I had to keep that in the title today. Is as soon as judgment arises, right, onto yourself, because again, like this is the way I see it almost. This is the way I have been seeing it. I see stuff in my environment that usually do not even really, what's the word I'm looking for? Prompt my awareness, right? Let's say crack in the wall again, right? I see crack in the wall. I don't think anything of it. It doesn't really prompt my awareness. Now, suddenly, because there are people coming over, I see the exact same crack in the wall, but the prompting of awareness is almost me looking at it through the eyes of the people that I anticipate are going to come and visit me. And then I cast a judgment onto myself through the crack of the wall, through the eyes of another person. Am I being too contrived? I'm being serious. Can I ask you something? You can ask me anything, Wasima. You can ask me whatever you want. But there is, and maybe this is my own bias. I don't know if everybody does that, but I definitely do that. Use other people's imagined eyes to look at myself with judgment. And I don't know if it's helpful. It is definitely helpful as it relates to the ability to actually get stuff done. Maybe having that baseline fear of judgment. Therapy could work. Therapy probably could be better. Therapy would be the best. But I'm not necessarily looking for therapy, N dot. I'm more looking for understanding. Yeah, that's what therapy is for. No, stop. I just want to understand without the therapy. Keep the therapy. Give me the understand, please. No, Mel, that's not how it works. You gotta earn it. Fine. Fine. Okay. Was that the question? You asking me if you are allowed to ask me something? Sister of my brother's girlfriend. Yes, that's right. Why? Why was she gonna come? The whole family is here. Like I think they were on vacation together, and then the end of their vacation is essentially today. And then they came through to our place to end their vacation before they go back home. And then the brother and the sister and husband were ready to actually just be home. Like they were kind of done vacationing and they just wanted to go home. So they did. And as a result, they're not here. But they were gonna be. You heard them saying Samus? Jovan sending love. So nice. Therapy. I am a kid who is a bit of a child. I love that. When I'm a kid and a bit of a child. Do you mean like you're childish as a kid? Because kind of those two words are describing the same thing. Grab camera for Lamar edit. You've like people keep asking me this stuff, and now I should go like boop, and then I've grabbed you. Now I'm getting Lamar edited. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting on all these edits that I've been promised. You know, I keep getting people asking me to do one thing or another. All right. That's so sharp. I am the kind. If you're Afrikaans, which I doubt you are, Wasima. Wasima doesn't seem like a very Afrikaans name. The word you just spelled, kind, Kind, is the same word we use for child. Again, kind. That is our kind. Jy is a kind. You are a child. That one tasted so much like tea. Yes. Made it? Yay. I got Lamar edited. Who's Lamar? Like Kendrick Lamar? I'm confused. But that's okay. You don't have to know what's going on all the time. In fact, maybe by limiting some perceptions, you save yourself judgment. I'm trying to bring it back to today's stream topic. Wasima Han, you're spamming the chat. Yeah, Sam can be pretty touchy on that. Better watch out. Better not spam. Or you might get bad hammered by a Sam. Stream is made for sharing the wise. Yeah, something the wise. I wonder if any other philosophers have talked about today's topic. I'm curious if any other philosopher have touched on the topic of perception-based judgment, is the way that I would articulate it. Specifically, the perception of another person that is going to come into your space, come to your home, and your perception changing as it imagines looking through the eyes of that person at your space, and then casting judgments onto yourself based on what you see. Maybe you see trash on the floor, and you see that through the eyes of another person looking at yourself, and you think yourself a slob by that other person if you just left that piece of paper on the ground. So you pick it up and you try and make things nice in the way you think it's supposed to be so that you can be spared the judgment of yourself ultimately. Ideally, usually, people don't actually, from the outside world, might not cast judgments directly, criticism directly, but they might think something poorly of you. And we can't have that, now can we? I would like to know if this concept, if this topic, if this depth have been explored before, and what wisdom was extracted in the exploring thereof. I'll even give it like some extra reasoning time. How about you think about it, machine? Instead of just answering me, think about it for like 1 minute, I ask. Thinks about it for a total of, oh, it's actually thinking. Hey, it's thinking more. 4 seconds. Thought for 4 seconds. That's fine. Jeez. What the helly? Sam can be touchy. Fuck, man. Just toss me right under the bus. Yeah. Get tossed. It's true though, Sam. Right? I'm not casting lies. I'm not casting spells. It's okay to be touchy sometimes. Right? Am I touchy? I just think I've like experienced so much environmental bullshit, if that makes sense, that I've grown immune to it. And what I mean in that is like quite literally the fact that I've had so many experiences in my direct life where people are saying things in my space that drive me insane, and my capacity to remain sane, that is. means that I now have the strength it takes to see some bullshit and just be like, I'm fine. I'm fine. Eventually, I might be asked to leave. Sam is how you at the shit show. I don't know what that means, and dot, but you were, I don't like that. That seems like it's like, for some reason, you skating out onto thin ice. That message felt like, right, watching someone skin out, skate out. And I know the ice is like really thin. I'm like, did you see them? Did you see them just do that? Sam and N dot what? I'm confused as well, Wasima. Both of us confused together. Let's see if we can extract some wisdom from the ether, shall we? Watch the not melt. No, you should be watching Melt, not the shit show. This is the show. Charles Horton Cooley. You ever heard that name? I haven't either. Apparently, it's a philosopher. You're articulating a deep and familiar insight. What we often become, that we often become our own harshest judges by imagining another person's gaze on our space or ourselves. Philosophers and sociologists have indeed explored the perception based judgment from a variety of angles. Here are some of the richest treatments. Do I need to be treated? Maybe. Charles Horton Cooley and the Looking Glass Self. Good evening, Moon Knight. It's nice having you. The core idea is our sense of self is shaped by how we imagine others perceive us. The Looking Glass Self. Our sense of self is shaped by how we imagine others perceive us. Not only that, but I know for a fact our sense of self is shaped by what other people tell us, right? So much of how we see ourselves is through the eyes of other people, kind of vibes, right? Not only the perceived, but sometimes people can tell you too, right? Like if someone really goes out of their way to give you a deep and like heartfelt compliment, right? That stuff can like stay with you, can like change your whole life, kind of vibes, make you really think about how it is you're being perceived and how you want to be perceived. And especially if you get a compliment like, oh, you're so kind, or you're so friendly, or, like it suddenly was like, oh, wow, I kind of like receiving a compliment like that. Maybe I should do more of whatever I did so that I can be that person to the world. Feeling the love that you're sending. Thank you. Keep spamming emojis in chat. I'm pretty sure it counts as whole messages according to the YouTube algorithm, which is kind of busted. You're getting cancelled because Wasima. Oh, woe is me. Not getting cancelled. What are they gonna do? Take away all of my multi-million dollar contracts? Oh no. Oh, wait a second. I don't have any multi-million dollar. Mechanisms. Let's check it out, right? Again, this looking glass self. The fact that so much of how we perceive ourselves is through the eyes of other people. First, we imagine how we appear to another person. Then, we imagine that person's judgment of that appearance that is seen, right, by them. Then we develop our self-feeling, pride or shame in response of that. The wisdom that we can extract is that we internalize social perspectives, so much so that we can become captive to imagine judgments even when no one is actually judging us. Cultivating self-compassion means recognizing which reflections are projections of our own fears and not mirrors of objective reality. Ew, that one is real. That one is like, that one hurts me kind of to read. Maybe all of us can take a moment, because sometimes we'll just like plug our ears and let information pass us. My channel is dying. Continue showing up for it anyway, friend. I have felt my channels dying as a feeling probably hundreds of times at this point. Yet, I show up anyway, day after day. I create something, right? Sure, it might not be the best, might not be the most creative, might not be the most exciting, but it's mine, and I did that. and I'll keep doing it. And you should too. Take pride. How much subs you got? Let me check. Check out. How many subs do I have right now? Muskan, Sonny is here. I'm doing well, friend. It's nice seeing your name here with us again. Bless you. We're talking about perception based judgment today, where being perceived by another person, imagining being perceived by another person, allows us to judge ourselves, sometimes harshly. And this is like a big wisdom to extract. We'll read it again together. Cultivating self compassion means recognizing which reflections are projections of our own fears and not mirrors of objective reality. Right? Again, and you're like, oh, I don't, Mel, that's a bunch of big words. What does that mean? It means looking at yourself in the mirror and maybe, right, you judge, maybe you have a pimple, right? Maybe you have a pimple. And then you judge yourself. You look at you can see that pimple on your own face. And you're like, oh, that looks horrible. Oh, that's so noticeable. Oh, I look disgusting. Right? Perceived. Again, it's a projection of your own fear. You are projecting onto yourself the fear that someone is going to judge you for having a pimple, which I mean, like who's not used to pimples existing, right? Like it's a very normal thing in the spectrum of humanity, right? So projecting that fear onto yourself, it's not a mirror of objective reality, right? Like if you have people in your life that are going to cast such vicious judgments upon you because you have a pimple, then they don't really deserve your attention or your time, especially not your emotional fortitude. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. Yeah, I do like that Friedrich Nietzsche quote. My why to live is love, and my how will be whatever it takes. All right, I will become cyborg. I will become computer god if I need to. If I need to make more loves, I'll do whatever it takes. Well, Moon Knight, damn, why to show up? Way to show up today, dude. That is some good stuff. That is some good stuff. I wonder. I'll ask even. We'll ask. There's no Friedrich Nietzsche in here. We're like curious. Did Friedrich Nietzsche share any of this perspective, this wisdom that we're talking about today? Is that a gobbledygoo? As well, it can be difficult and distressing to discern that people project their own fears onto you via their false ideas or absolute judgments about who you are. You, because they've done that to themselves, right? It's almost like again, it's like the extra layer. It's like the buffer layer in front of that they've already done. And since we're talking about this like whole complex, I imagine you seeing me in a certain way, so I cast judgment onto myself through your eyes. And then if I actually believe that you did cast that judgment, then I can start casting judgments about you. It's like, oh yeah, you make fun of my pimples? Well, you're actually an asshole. All right, only assholes make fun of pimples, and so I'm not going to respect your opinions because I don't listen to assholes. Boom. Suddenly, de facto, you have been gotten assholes. Bro, pray I get the job. Steven Martinez. Is that how it's Martinez? Steven Martinez suddenly gets a call or an email, and it's like, bro, you got the job, and we're like doubling the pay that we promised or something, right? And Steven Martinez's face just has this gleeful smile. And he's like running around in circles with Giddy. I know that it sounds like I'm making fun of you, Steven Martinez, but this is me being actually genuine. I believe instead of like praying, like, oh, please, God out there, make employer give Steven Martinez job. Like that's like so many instructions for God to follow, right? Who am I to try and give God instructions? So instead, my idea of prayer is imagining the outcome that we both want, right? In this case, the having of the job. And I mean, it would be great to get offered double pay and the job simultaneously, right? So like that's what I imagine. Best case scenario is, right? If the universe can only do same pay but still job, I'll take it as Steven Martinez in the universe. Sending you blessings, friend. Gobbledygoo, do I fully know who I am? Perhaps not. Gobbledygoo says, I'm here to forget after all, but most of the folks around me do not have me figured out at all. And you know what the best part is, Gobbledygoo? Is that that is what, on some level, we so desperately want. Right? We want to be known. We want some, like, folks around us. We want the folks around us, the people that we surround ourselves with, to see the fullness, the person that we are. All right? And it is this kind of balance, Gobbledygoo. That's what I'm being inspired to say right now. That not only are you right in the whole, do I fully know who I am? Perhaps not. I came here to forget, which is beautiful. But at the same time, the folks around us help us figure ourselves out within this all. Right? And I'm seeing it very much through the lens of this journey that we've been on, Gabs. Right? You friends, when I showed up at the first point, in this journey, did I fully know who I am? Absolutely not. Right? However, you friends showing up with me, being the folks around me, casting your own projections, right? Me having my own perceptions about the ways in which you friends see me have shaped who I want to be in so many ways as well, right? So it's this duality that we're always struggling with, is that we want people to see us for the greatness that we know we can be. And it's almost like, and I believe this, if somebody can see that greatness in you, it's so much easier for you to see it in yourself, right? Rolling back to that whole receiving a compliment about something that you're doing in a great way, right? Some way in which you're making the world great. It is empowering. It feels good. It feels good to be seen, right? And I feel like that's why it feels bad to be projected onto or lied about in front of your face, right? To have someone say something to you that isn't in line with the reality, right? That you have been perceiving. Again, coming back to that whole perception-based judgment. Way to show up today. Bless again. We still got some wisdoms to extract. Sam, even the moon has its phases. I've been looking at the moon this whole time, Moon Knight. I show up when the shadow calls. Rather pray that I make it big in YouTube. And that you need to give me more than that, bro. Make it big on YouTube. Like, I could literally imagine so many different fractals. I'm imagining you making something big and then putting it on YouTube. All right, boom, you've made it big on YouTube. There you go. Imagination imagines. Yes, boy, thank you. Boom. I hope so. I'm smiling now. I'm kidding. You are. That's enough. Bless friend. Very true. Demonstration of that which I am not. I might forget I might forget that which I am not if my peers don't frequently demonstrate it to me. Bro, you should get a Kung Fu Panda blanket. Would be cool. Kung Fu Panda, just a G. Remember the Reddit days? Steven Martinez, I do. Our pan was quite the experience. If our pan continued the way that it was, our trajectory would be significantly different. Where I believe I potentially would have more money right now, but I also believe I would have less fulfillment. I do. I do think I would be less fulfilled, especially because I believe everything happening the way it did led to me making decisions that led to connections being made the way they were. Hey, Morgan, it's nice having you. Ah, I'm getting married soon. Isn't that wild? My brother, too. Both of them, probably even. Pretty bonkers. Will doomsday happen? Again, what does doomsday mean to you? What does doomsday mean to you? A day of doom? What does doom mean? Death. What is the exact definition of doom? Yes, this thing is really thinking about it, bro. It's not that deep. Doom carries two distinct and widely defined definitions. One, as a general term signifying a terrible fate, and the other as the title of a seminal and highly influenced video game. No, I'm not talking about that one, bro. Inescapable fate. Doom as a concept of inescapable fate, like watching a nuclear bomb come down on us. That would probably inspire a sense of doom, right? It's like, inescapable fate coming down. That is pretty rough. You know, in that way, I don't believe in doom. Because again, it might be inescapable to your ego, to this thing, this story, this narrative that is stuck in your body, right? Watching bomb go in the distance, right? Bigger than your thumb. Big problem. Big problem. Right? But only for a few seconds. And then your soul is disincorporated. And you're like, whoa. And you completely escape all of that potential discomfort and pain. And I do believe that there is a continuation, right? So I don't know, to answer you. I don't think doom is inevitable. Excuse me if I'm being contrived. Be contrived, gobbledygoo. I don't know if I missed a comment before, but you know me, bro. I love the controversies. I'm pretty contrived myself. Don't you use doom to kill insects? I mean, you could, but it's also not inescapable. Sometimes the insect is fast enough to get away from them doom sprinkles. But we're going to continue exploring philosophical Elikilaklis. I've constructed an indoor garden in one of my closets. So many different fractals in my mind. I'm imagining those little terrariums in one way. I'm imagining a herb garden in another. I'm imagining a herb garden in another. It's what you think it is. I love that. Damn, I do. I've been thinking about it myself even. I really love growing plants. Like really, really. And being able to grow a plant and then experience it, that is some wholesome stuff. Green Crack Punch 6040 hybrid. I've actually heard some good stuff about the Green Crack strain. Knowing you, Gobbledygoo, it checks out that you went for those kind of genetics, right? And it's punch. So it's not only the Green Crack, which is like a little bit more of like a having your eyes peeled open kind of strain. It's like having your eyes peeled open before you get punched in the face. Oh, bless. Bless, that's awesome. What do you think about today's stream topic though, Gobbledygoo? I do trust that you've like gotten with it, right? Again, we're talking about being perceived by another person and then casting judgments onto ourselves, imagining being perceived by them. And then we asked, is there any like past philosophers that covered this idea in one way or another? We already touched on what Charles Horton Cooley said, talking about the looking glass self. I'm talking about that whole reflections thing, right? Making sure that it's not a projection of our fears or something that doesn't actually mirror objective reality. It's something I've been going through in a heavy way the past few weeks. Me too, Gubs. Me too. And like one of the things that I've done is very out of character for me, right? And one of those things is silence. I'm not actually a quiet person, right? And one of the things that I've been embracing as of late is a little bit more silence, just like being quiet. And it's messing with my perception of self as it's being perceived, but it's also bringing me peace. So it's this weird balance of like, I don't know if I want to care. I don't know if I want to judge myself. more, about how I'm being perceived right now. My heart speaks and dances. My beloved, take me across the stars. I am lonely. Oh, it's kind of wholesome. Moon Knight, you're not lonely. You might just be alone. Right? You're here right now. We're all here. Sure, you might want, desire for more social interaction, and that's where the feeling of loneliness comes from. But you're having some social interaction right now, at the very least. I think I'm doing okay about coping with it, using cognitive behavioral therapy skills to recognize what is in my control and what isn't. Yeah. Your voice is one of those, right? Such a powerful thing that you're in control of. And it helps me to be aware as well, gobbledygoose. I know you are, bro. I'm just echoing the whole silent sentiment fractal. George Herbert Mead and the social self. Another layer to consider. The core idea is that the self arises in social interactions through taking the role of the other. Through play and conversation, we learn to step outside of ourselves and see our actions from another's point of view. The wisdom that we can extract from this is that conscious evolution requires becoming aware of, and then choosing to broaden or redefine the other whose perspective we adopt. We'll have to read that one again, huh? For making sense. The core idea is that the self arises in social interactions through taking the role of the other, right? So, who you are as a self, you have formed by pretending to be another person as you look at yourself. That's the way I'm interpreting. And then through play and conversation, because this starts happening probably when we're kids already, we learn to step outside of ourselves and see our actions from another's point of view. In doing so, we consciously evolve by becoming aware of and choosing to broaden and redefine the other whose perspective we adopt. Redefining. Almost like being the other person, but being the other person in a different way, right? Like, I'm going to be you, but I'm going to be you while loving me. I'm going to be you while trying to help myself. Is that what I'm supposed to do? That's interesting. I kind of like that way of thinking. Bro, you don't know who I am and what my name is, how I look like, but you still made me feel like a person with many friends. Thank you very much. Jeez. Moon Knight, you're welcome. I know it's not easy in this world right now. People have less friends now than they've ever had before. People feel, as you say, nameless and faceless in this world. You're not alone. We got you, bro. The interwebs is a big place, and we're lucky to have you here. Bless you. May I ask how the timeline looks for you, for your move? So, gobbledygoose, the first piece of paperwork, the hardest one, done. Then I needed to get police clearance from China, which was like basically the second hardest thing to get done. And that's done. I like literally got it in the mail. Was it yesterday? Day before yesterday? 2 individual copies of like fully certified Melt isn't a Chinese criminal, right? Which is great. Cost 500 US dollars, but it's done. Then I needed to get a passport, done. Then I needed basically like proof of support from Jovan, which means that she has money, so I won't starve to death if I move to America, which is ideal. I like that. Not starving to death. So she had to gather like all of her pay slips and tax reports, and she had to go to her company and have the HR department give a letter confirming her employment. Like, is a contrived list of things. Done. All of that stuff. Done. Then there's like a bunch of different forms that need to be filled out. Done and dusted. Then there's letters we needed to write, declaration of intent to marry within 90 days, Both of us needed to have those letters in and signed. Done, done, done on that part. Then there is the medical stuff. The medical stuff, which is essentially me getting vaccinated in all of the different ways. And then after I've been vaccinated in all of the different ways, and I have all of my vaccination records on file, then I take that file and I register at the consulate. I get a DS 160 form, something like that. And then after I get my appointment booked, I can then make an appointment with the doctor. Right. So like that's the last step that I have left. I essentially have getting my vaccines, going to the doctor. I'm still waiting for my passport to come through. Hey, Bedell, it's nice having you. Still waiting for my passport to come through. But that's in the process. Already paid that, so I'm just waiting now for the system to system. And then I need to, when I go in to get my passport, I need to try and get my South African police clearance. I went at the same time that I went to get my passport to get my police clearance, and then it was just finicky. You know, oh yeah, people are actually away training today. You know, they're not here today. So I was like, oh, cool. So I'll probably go and get that when I go in to go and get my passport, which should be ideally within the next week or two. So timeline-wise, I want to be in the States this year. I think it can happen. I believe. I trust. This year it's going to be. Curious what China has to do with it. If you've been in any country for longer than 6 months since you were 16, you have to get police clearance from that country as well. It's a part of the paperwork you need. All right. So I need, like, if I was only in South Africa the whole time, I would have only needed police clearance from South Africa. But because I was in China working for a year and 3 months, that's on my passport records. So when I go for my interview, they're going to be like, oh, we saw you were in China from this date to this date. Where is your police clearance? And then I'll have to present my police clearance. And then I was like, even because ChatGPT was a big help in this whole process, right? Like making sure that I tick all the boxes of all of the paperwork that I need, of all of the stuff they're going to ask me for. And I essentially lost my train of thought just now. Bring it back. Oh yeah, I like when I got all of my boxes I need to tick, I saw if you've been in any country past the age of 16 for longer than 6 months, you need police clearance from that country. And I was like, oh, I could like feel it like kill my soul a little bit because I was so sure that we had almost everything that we needed done. Gobbledygoo. I was like, oh, this is gonna be just like a smooth sailing from now on. And then I saw this iceberg that I thought was gonna be my police clearance from China. Because again, getting police clearance from China is a mission. And then I asked ChatGPT, I was like, bro, how am I gonna get Chinese police clearance? And it goes, you're gonna have to hire a service. And then I go, who offers the best service? And then it gives me a name and a number and a website and I think an email address as well. And it's like 500 US dollars. And then I instantly go, and then I go, can I just not? Can I just admit? Can I just forget my Chinese police clearance? And it goes, no, they will ask for it. And I go, ah. And then I go, can't I do it cheaper somewhere? Give me other places that do it for cheaper. And then it's like, yeah, name. And then next to name, it's like $440, $400, $470, $450. So it's like, it's gonna be more than $400 to get this paperwork done, no matter where you're doing it. So I instantly, literally within minutes of like basically confirming that the first name that he gave me is the best one, I submitted my request for the paperwork. Pete Zhao, his name is, I think. Pete Zhao, is it Pete Zhao? Yeah, very professional. Pete Zhao got paid. Pete Zhao did the work. I think Pete Zhao finished everything in like a week and a half. I think from the process of first initiating, getting my paperwork, to literally having my paperwork in hand was like no more than 2 weeks, which is bonkers, right? It's pretty bonkers to imagine, like again, and they have to, like, this is the wild part about it. You have to go to the police station of the city in the state that you lived in to get your police clearance. Right? So they literally had to send someone out to the city that I lived in to go to that police station to get my police clearance. And still, it only took 2 weeks for the full process. And it would have been faster if I had money quicker. Well, China, you dealt with this hippie. Is he trouble? Exactly. Literally, as Sam said, right? If I have a history, right, of like going to other countries and then being an absolute delinquent, getting arrested multiple times for doing some shady shit, then it's gonna be like on my record. And then as I want to go to America, I'm gonna be like, yeah, let me in. And then it's like, where have you been? And it's like, I've been to China. And it's like, well, ask China first how you were when you were there. And it looks at piece of paper, looks at me. Okay, fine. They say you're fine. She is a goddess. Are we talking about Zhao? If so, yes, it's true. They must have checked on his social credit score. Vaccines are good. It's true. So exciting. Oh, it's like you were in a different country long enough to do crime. Yeah. Did you do crime? Are you going to do crime here? Exactly. That's like the gist of it. Are you crime boy? And unfortunately, I'm no crime boy. I know criming. I never crimed. Luckily. Rockery never crimies. All right. I've been good. And I'm saying that living in a country, hey, Gilby, nice having you. Living in a country and living in a town where I did have schoolmates that got arrested and criminal records for like stabbing each other and stuff. Getting drunk and like totaling their cars. Like, yeah. And I always like had this sense of superiority, Wouldn't believe I consider myself superior to people that total their cars drunk and stab each other. Judgment. My perception and the judgment that I cast. We are talking about that today, right? But now, because of all of my being a good boy, I get to go to the States. Huzzah! I'm from Timor-Leste. I don't know where that is. Is that the country's name? Welcome. I'm from South Africa. All right. There's another piece of wisdom extracted as well from that whole yourself from the perception of another. By practicing role-taking with kindness, like I even said this before, by practicing role-taking with kindness and generosity, not judgment, we can shape our own self-image. So I pretend to be you looking at me, but I pretend to be you while being kind to myself, or being generous, or being empathetic towards myself. And then I shape myself based on that perception instead of that of judgment, which I like. Good bit of wisdom to extract. Jean-Paul Sartre's look, le regard, to look. The core idea is when another person looks at you, you become an object to them. Woo, that's hectic. And you yourself experience a jolt of self-objectification. Objectification. Part of me feels bad that I like took it like, to look at you like that. I'm sorry for jolting yourself to self-objectify. I couldn't, well, I was going to say I couldn't see you, but technically I was looking at the camera, imagining you looking at this shot right now, right? I can look there, but that isn't eye contact like that is. Yes, you feel Are you self-objectifying? Stop it. Stop objectifying yourself. I don't know if I'm down on this one, John Paul. I'm sorry, bro. Like, let's see. The key passage in Being and Nothingness. Sartre describes the moment when the other turns you into an object and you feel shame simply by being seen. This dude was on a bad trip, yo. I'm sorry, dude. I don't know if I'm down for this one. Let's see what wisdom we extract. True freedom involves owning your own subjectivity, even under the gaze of others. You are more than a mere object. It's almost like true freedom in this guy's mind is not believing you're an object when they look at you. It's like maybe notice that objectification arise, and then to guard yourself against it. Be like, no, I'm actually a whole person, thank you very much. When you notice those thoughts arise that aren't true. Maybe that's the way I'm supposed to interpret. Rather than fleeing or hiding from the look, you can confront it, and by doing so, reclaim your freedom. Okay, John Paul. Michael Foucault and the panopticon. I actually do know about the panopticon. Everybody is looking. The core idea is that modern power works by encouraging us to internalize an ever-present gaze. So we monitor and discipline ourselves. Yeah, so I was wrong. Panopticon is not everyone is looking. Panopticon is everyone is being looked at. All right? They're probably going to cover it, but it's this idea of a prison system that has open rooms all the way around, and then a center tower and a guard in that, right? So no matter where you are in that whole prison cell, you can be seen from the center point at all times. You can never not be seen, all right? So you might as well always be seen in your own mind. And then you self-regulate because of that constant monitoring, that you feel, that ever-present gaze. The mechanism. Jeremy Bentham's panopticon prison metaphor, there it is. Inmates behave as if they're always being watched, even if they aren't. The wisdom to extract is that we unwittingly police our own behavior, whether keeping our home tidy or our social media carefully curated, because we've absorbed societal expectations. Don't you hate when that happens, Lucy? Societal expectations. We all get sacred MeltMore. It's nice to be in this moment with you. Melting more alongside you, dear friend. Liberation comes from recognizing and resisting internalized surveillance. Ask yourself whose standards you're enforcing. Good question. Good question to ask. Whose standards am I enforcing? If it's not your own, then ask again. Reevaluate, dear friend. Then Irving Goffman. Dramaturgy. Dramaturgy. That's a fun, weird, I don't know if it's fun. The turgy, dramaturgy. Dramaturgy. I'm sorry if you know how to say that word. Impression management. The core idea is that everyday life is like theater. I actually do subscribe to this kind of way of seeing it. Erwin Goffman. Modern life is like theater. We perform roles for an imagined audience, managing the impressions we create. I push that understanding to the extreme, where even if I'm not being perceived by people, I am still performing, because I believe in multidimensionality, and I believe that this space is so dense with information that there are literally things existing in it with me simultaneously. And those things can see information that I might not be able to, existing in the same space as me. In other words, there are aliens all around me all the time, and they're watching, and I'm being the most entertaining I can. That might sound batshit insane, but let's see if there's wisdom to be extracted. This is why I think it would be hard to be a celebrity always in the public eye. Yeah. And people also like looking for reasons to hate you and break you down. Having like people try and like take photos of you to like paint you in a bad light, that part I can like imagine must be horrific. Like imagine you just want to like chill out, like in your pajamas. Maybe you like spilled some ketchup on it or something, and you're gonna get dressed a little bit later, so you don't change your shirt right away. And then you like walk outside to get the mail or whatever, or take the trash out. And then these people like take a bunch of photos of you with your ketchup stained shirt in your pajamas, right? And then like that gets posted online and people make fun of you. Like that sounds horrific. But maybe it's just again perception-based judgment that we put onto ourselves. Yeah. Today's wisdom is echoing more. Let's see if there is wisdom to be extracted from Erwin Goffman's. We set up a front stage, how we present ourselves, and then we retreat to a backstage where we can drop the act. The wisdom to extract is that authenticity involves aligning your front stage persona with your genuine self. So you're not forever scrambling to maintain appearances. Mindful self presentation can become an act of art rather than anxiety. Yeah. That's kind of like, I feel, a process as well, though, because at least for me, it started from a place of anxiety and now has become a practice of mindful self presentation. And then there's Jacques Lacan, mirror stage. The core idea is that as infants, we first form an I by identifying with our mirror image. And from then on, we chase an idealized self. How interesting is that? I do like that as an idea, that you actually only become an I as an infant by seeing yourself in the mirror. What I imagine upon reading that is that have we become something else since modernization, right? Like it takes a certain level of modernization to make very smooth surfaces and polish them into reflective, or like etch them with chemicals so that they can become reflective in the same way we do with modern mirrors. Let's see if we continue. The mirror provides a unified image the child aspires to, but it's always out of reach, generating a gap between self and the ideal. The wisdom to extract is that recognize the powerful draw of the idealized image in ourselves and in social media. Okay, so the way that I'm interpreting is that this mirror actually exists within ourselves, not as an actual mirror, in fact. It could be, but it's more like a self-reflection. It's like when you're in your own mind and you did something that you didn't like, you're judging that reflection of self the same way you would judge hair being in the wrong place or something like that. Embrace the tension between who you are and who you aspire to be as the very engine of growth rather than a source of shame. What this collective wisdom invites us to do, I'm going to read your Friedrich Nietzsche is a freaking madman. I almost want to read like just the wisdoms that are extracted from what Nietzsche believes about this. Be aware of building your sense of right and wrong purely from how you think others see you, because that's a trap. It can calcify into a morality of guilt where you don't evolve, you just end up shrinking, right? Building our sense of self on what is right and wrong about what you think is right and wrong, right? Like that calcifies you. Man is the still undetermined animal. The core idea is that humans are incomplete by nature, undefined, and our challenge is to become ourselves, not conform to inherited roles or imagined perceptions. The wisdom to extract is that Nietzsche invites you to create your own values, your own way of ordering your home, your being, not to escape judgment, but to live in alignment with what is true and beautiful to you. Challenge to become who you are. The core idea, become the one who overcomes themselves again and again. The wisdom to extract is to clean the room, not to avoid shame, but because a clear space helps your mind create. Wear the cloak, not to look the part, but because it makes you feel the part. Every action either makes you more you or makes you smaller. Say aan.
Hy's aan, maar dit is nie weer.
Ja, die ander ene is buitelaag het begin uitgee. So toe lak hy die ding uit. Ja, was vir 'n rukkie so gewees.
Dit is baie warm.
Vuurwarm seker, nou ja.
Ja, is
Pikwarm amper. Ek is nou amper klaar, dan kom ek in. All right. We're basically done, friends. It was nice to have you here. Be suspicious of the self that acts only when it imagines someone else watching. What do you do when no one is watching? That's closer to your truth. I'm at peace when no one's watching. You're so nice. Thank you. Like, it's so interesting how my first part of my mind is like, why do I suddenly feel suspicious? And then I'm like, stop being suspicious and start being grateful. So thank you, Gobs. It was nice to have you friends here. Thank you for joining me, for being nice to me too, for letting me be nice to you. I appreciate your love, friends. Part of me still wants to see if we can gain some more wisdom. Hey, how are y'all? Hendrik is not in the ICU anymore, and I can go for a visit on Monday. Bless, Lutz. I'm happy to hear that. Bless, Hendrik too. I'm doing well. I'm cold today. Today is like especially cold. My fingies are like slow moving. We're gaining some wisdoms, and then we're gonna read the poem and say goodbye. Thank you so much for the update. How are you and your mom? How are you and the moms? Thank you, Sam, for sending loves too. What does collective wisdom invites us to do? First, we name the gaze. Whether you catch yourself imagining someone's judgment, whenever you catch yourself imagining someone's judgment, pause and ask, whose standards am I applying? I love that question. That's a great question to ask. Whose standards am I applying? Right? And then you can almost like start undoing some trauma stuff as well. Like that shadow work a little bit too, of like, oh, my mom used to have a big problem with this, or my dad used to yell at me if I did this, right? And then start understanding. Name the gaze, see where it comes from. Second, reclaim your subjectivity. Confront the imagined look by reminding yourself, I am not merely an object to be judged. Yeah, so now I'm gaining even more understanding about what he meant in saying that, right? So not only are you not an object to be judged, but again, like the crack on the wall, if you cast judgment onto yourself because of a crack, that's you objectifying yourself. You're bringing down the fullness of what a person is to something as simple as a crack in the wall, right? It's like, stop doing that. You deserve better. Always. And we are doing all right. Thank you for asking, Sam. I appreciate it. Bless you, Lutz. It's nice having you here, friend. Third, choose which perspective to internalize. You can experiment with adopting a compassionate other. Perhaps how you'd look at a friend rather than a harsh critic. Yeah, the kind of same compassionate sentiment, right? Like you really love your friend or maybe a beloved, right? And then you go and visit their parents. You're not going to start just like spewing nonsense, casting judgments. You're going to be calm and quiet and, let them know that that's not something that bothers you or not something that matters. Is it just you caring for your mom? Do you have someone else who gives you a break there? Do thank you. Do tell us, and thank you for asking, Sams. Cultivate radical self-compassion. Counterbalance your inner critic with a gentle inner ally who values your part, who values you apart from any tidy home or perfect performance. Yeah, I think that echoes what I said just before as well, that you are so much more. You are to be valued as so much more than just these small things. Transform your performance into presence rather than striving to avert imagined judgment. Bring your full, imperfect self into each moment and trust that being seen in the pathway, being seen is the pathway to genuine connection. I do believe that, right? You seeing me in this moment is the only pathway that we can get to genuine connection, right? And sometimes, maybe you'll have to see me bunches of times. Maybe you have to subscribe. Maybe you have to like, so you can see me over and over again. And at some point, a connection will be had. My aunt helped from time to time, but she is also already in her 60s. Once a week, I take her to our house to do something for myself or with friends. Bless. I'm happy that you do at least have some support as your community there. Yes. Here is a piece of art for you to see with your eyebrows. You ever see something like that? Have you ever seen something like that? Look at that little dude. All right. And then I'll read you the piece of poetry that went alongside it. My fingers are so cold. I need to start moving my body a little bit more. Yeah, it's working. The poem is called This One Has Such Uplifting Energy. Yay. I will send love. Elemental Symphony. Yeah, this free day per week is saving my sanity, not gonna lie, I can imagine. Oh, what is this? Crown thingy? It is a new feature that YouTube employed to basically give people XP based on how many times they comment or how much money they donate. The more money you donate, the more times you say something, the more XP you get. And then it gives me a button up here where I can see that today it's been Sam, Wasima, and you, Lutz, that have the most XP because of the messages that you've been sending. It's basically just another way to gamify people's participation, I think. You know, it's like maybe you as Lutz are like, oh wow, I'm third place because I've been sending message. I'm gonna send more message to get second place. And then that times billions of people over billions of YouTube videos means trillions more messages. Maybe the trillion is a little bit much. A trillion is 1,000 billion melt. That's I mean, over enough time, trillions of extra messages. Pay to win. No, no, it's not pay to. Technically, it's pay to win. Technically, right? You could like skip all the way to the front of the line by like donating $1. I think. I don't know if you get more XP the more dollars you donate, but I do know that Gary Lee yesterday donated $4.44. Didn't say anything in the stream, but was instantly put number one on the top fans ratio. So I'm like, a little bit pay to win probably. Are we playing the Habbo mobile? That's hilarious. Elemental Symphony. We ask your AI how much it costs to max a character in the Habbo mobile game. You wouldn't believe it otherwise. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like $200 or something like that. I'll ask just for you, Lutz. Let's activate Google. How much is it to max my character in Diablo Mobile? I really don't care. I, I'm not going to be lying about this, but I'll, for curiosity's sake, searching. Oh, what the fuck? Okay. That is like literally disgusting. I feel like they almost need to like get arrested. Someone needs to get arrested. Yes, thank you, Lutz. Okay, fine. Fine. Like I remember how I was like, oh, it's probably gonna be like 100, 200 US dollars to like level up your character. And I thought that would be like, that sounds like a lot of money. And I can imagine them charging that much. And then the first thing that I read is that the basic gem upgrades is going to be 110,000 US dollars. That's what I mean if you wouldn't believe it. Early estimates upgrading 6-5 legendary gems to rank 10 costs around 110,000 US dollars. This covers unlocking and fully upgrading those core gems, but doesn't include resonance or awakening. Oh, okay, so after everything, so, final take. To push just 6 gems to rank 10, and I don't know what any of this means, it's $100,000. To awaken them fully and unlock resonance to true max is another 500,000 US dollars. With savvy use of the market, strategies can shave hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you're still looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars, not mere tens. Yeah, a full max out isn't necessary to enjoy the game or be powerful, but many whales stop around 200 to $300,000 once diminishing returns kick in. Like I'm like physically disgusted now. Thank you, Lutz. If I ever meet a person that spent 300,000 US dollars on a mobile game, I don't want to be held responsible for what I do. Right? Like that feels like that might make me like actually go insane. Like I might actually lose my mind. That is like enough money for a South African family to live 3 decades. You should be able to survive 3 decades. Yeah, I'm not even joking. Literally 3 decades of human life spent on a mobile game. And people do that. People have done that. I spent like $300 on mobile games. I think the most I've spent is like close to maybe like between $50 and $100. Also, when I was 14 on Clash of Clans, thank goodness I stopped playing that game too. Are you going to watch Jurassic World Rebirth? I've not heard good things, so I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe at some point. Maybe by mistake. In games like in life, money buys power. Yeah, but 300,000 US dollar can buy you real life power, right? You can like build a mini establishment, right? Spend 100,000 US dollars building a box, literally. Spend 10,000 US dollars putting solar on the roof and batteries. Spend 10,000 US dollars putting a bunch of fridges in that place. And then keep the rest for food budget. And then you just keep stacking those fridges with food every single time they're emptied out, right? And you could like feed people in desperate need for maybe, let's say, 5 years or up to a decade as well, completely solar powered for the most part at the very least. My brain is kind of, I'm losing my mind. Or no, which means time. Mark, the Quanung. Hi. It's like I'm used to. I'm about finished with this live stream. So if you want to see more of us, you'll have to subscribe. I'm going to read us a little poem and then I'm going to say goodbye. That's the piece of art that went alongside the poem. Same as buying a jet, IRL. Also saves time, summarize. I own a jet, probably. Nice. Elemental Symphony. We are stardust and water, carbon breath and alchemy of atoms dancing in a sea of possibility. Our hearts beat to the rhythm of ionic whispers, electron waltzing along protein pathways, sparking memory in every synapse. In this world of molecules where flowers fold into petals of scent, where sunlight splits into vitamin D and ocean waves draw salt into our veins, We are both makers and made. We taste life in sugars and salt. We feel it in endorphin floods and dopamine tides. We dream of waves of neurotransmission. We hope on currents of oxytocin. Our breath is a chemical promise, every choice a cascade of reactions, every moment an unfolding formula we learn to read with our bodies. We are chemistry. But not only that, we are the heat that turns it to meaning, the mystery that gives it rhythm. We are equations still being written, light in solution, fire in form. Not just part of the world, but the world becoming aware. I appreciate you, friends, sharing the world's awareness with me as yourself in this moment. It's a pleasure. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. I'm so cold. I'm going to go inside and be warm. I appreciate you for joining me. Thank you for spending some time. My favorite part was breath is a chemical promise. It's true, right? If you didn't trust that promise, you wouldn't take this moment with you. I appreciate you, friends, for joining me. It's always a pleasure sharing it. I'll see you, friends, again soon. Tomorrow. It was nice seeing you today. I appreciate you, friends. I love you, Jovan. Thank you for joining me. Until we do it again. Goodbye, everybody's. Love ya.